and gentlemen, welcome to Retro Warriors episode 85.
Woo.
As always, I'm your host, Justin Baker, and as always, I'm joined by resident old bastard Chris Saturn.
Hello.
Hello.
I always have to resist the urge to laugh during the 5 seconds of silence at the beginning of the show. It reminds me of back when I was in my primary school years, when they decided that you weren't allowed to pray in school anymore, so they'd have the moment of silence instead.
Yeah.
And inevitably, someone would make the most ridiculous, embarrassing noises during that moment of silence, and unintentionally, like their stomach would start saying words, or they would cough in such a way that sounded like they were dead.
Of course.
You know, those kinds of things. So it just taking me back.
It makes me think the same thing.
Yeah.
But anyway, Saturn, draw a name out of this hat.
Oh, okay.
This is for a copy of the Stanley Parable, again, because our winner last week, who I believe was Andrew Park, I believe it was.
It was.
Does not game on PC, so he has no use for
which is sad, because it's still a good game.
It's a great game.
Sean Stacy.
Sean Stacy, you are going to receive a copy of the Stanley Parable. We will send it to you directly through a Patreon message, so keep an eye out for that. I do hope you game on PC and that you enjoy the game. It is a phenomenal game.
Are we drawing again?
Oh.
I don't know.
No.
Okay.
Now I feel like you set the expectation.
I'm just going to keep drawing.
I don't have a game.
We don't have any games for them. We just want to say names.
Yeah. Are we just drawing them all? Yeah, just draw all of them. And that drawing is a game a week. It is for our patrons. If you want to become a patron, you can go to patreon.com/retrowarriors and support the show. And I did also want to mention we have hit our second milestone.
That's crazy.
So not only are we able to do the show for free and ad-free, but we are additionally going to be putting out written content on the website, which will also be posted on Patreon, so you don't have to worry about it.
It doesn't actually have anything to do with games. It's actually just our reviews of sports cars.
It's my recipe for a Goomba latte. Is what I don't even know would be in that. Like
Goomba
mushrooms.
Mostly mushrooms.
So look forward to that. I'm gonna say this week, because whenever you're listening to this, when it goes live on Monday, it will be that week. But we are recording the previous week, so uncut listeners, it is next week, and people who do not listen to uncut, it is this week. So I'm glad.
That's not convoluted at all.
I'm glad I explained all that for everybody, so everyone knows what's going on.
You know, I think going forward, we should just refer to things exclusively for the people who do not contribute money to us, because the people who give us money are smart enough to understand that they are hearing it early.
Because we know they're smart because they give us money.
Exactly.
Anyway, as I said in the post on Patreon, we know you have your choice in retro gaming podcast crowdfunding campaigns, and we are glad you choose Retro Warriors.
It was very kind of all of you. We really did. You know, we've been getting more and more messages on Facebook from people.
We get so many messages
and
now.
I'm really loving that. I love that people are enjoying it enough to contribute. I enjoy that people enjoy it enough that they want to reach out to us and talk to us. And please keep doing that.
Absolutely.
It's a highlight of my day.
And like we said before, the good news is someone's watching it 24/7, because we have opposite schedules.
Yeah, right. So. I only sleep while you're watching your child.
Yeah, pretty much.
And you sleep usually while I'm working.
Right. Anyway, now that the giveaway is out of the way, I did want to get down to some news. And this one I did want to bring up first, because I super duper did not want to forget it. Yeah. If you are interested in preserving the history of video games, and if you're listening to our show, I assume you are. If you aren't, then I'm glad you're here. I don't know why, but that's welcome, weird person with very strange, eclectic tastes.
Right. I love retro gaming, but not the games themselves.
Yeah, I don't want it to stay around. I want it to eventually die, and no one ever find it. If you are interested in supporting the preservation of game history, go check out the Video Game History Foundation. It is a 501c nonprofit that was just started by the wonderful Frank Cifaldi, who you may recognize from Mega Man Legacy Collection. He worked on at Capcom.
LostLevels.org.
LostLevels.org. Tons and tons of news and reporting.
He has already done so much over the years for game preservation.
Absolutely.
He has been able to recover lost marketing information. He's been able to recover games that we thought had never
recovered I believe what is the first known Super Mario Brothers review, which was really cool. I saw a video and he was reading bits of it, and it was just really interesting.
He's also been able to get some really weird prototypes, plus he was involved with getting Bioforce Ape, the game that everybody thought didn't really exist.
Right.
he was able to find the prototype of the NES version of Final Fantasy II, the U.S. translation, that never got released, as well as all the marketing materials that Square brought to CES for it. So, suddenly we not only know what the translation was going to be, but what the packaging was going to look like for a game that never happened. So
it's interesting watching his video, because and the whole point of this is he is on Patreon. Please do go support him. I don't think we've pledged yet, but you have. I have not yet.
Right.
I feel weird because everything I pledge comes directly out of the money I receive on Patreon, so it almost feels like I'm repurposing pledges sometimes. But it's a good cause, and it's money. Money is money, and it all comes out of the same pool, really. But he is on Patreon. Please absolutely do go check him out. Do send him a couple dollars. It is a really, really important cause, and I do personally believe he is the guy to do it.
Right.
In his video, he said he's only been working in the industry for 10 years. He's done so much in just a decade.
And also, speaking of Frank Cifaldi, he happened to mention that he and his team are working on a new collection for Capcom.
Which, God, I hope it's Mega Man X.
Yeah,
I hope it is.
Part of me hopes it is, but I also kind of want to see some more obscure Capcom games come back to life.
Like a Power Stone collection?
Maybe. Well, there was one of those on PSP.
Oh, yeah.
But maybe
on a good platform.
Yeah.
Right? Oh, I love the PSP. I don't know why I'm talking shit about it.
But it's something like, I don't know,
a game would be good.
I'm thinking like Ghosts and Goblins, or maybe a Ghosts and Goblins collection that also has the Gargoyles Quest games in it.
Yeah,
since those were technically related franchises.
I would like just the Gargoyles Quest games. Those three would be
excellent.
Anyway, all that to say, we're not affiliated with him. He has no idea we exist. He's already many times larger than we are on Patreon. But
I'm sure in the hours after he went live, he surpassed us. But
it's significantly. But that's not what it's about. The point is that even if we only send a couple people his way, it is an important cause that I know we both really, really, truly believe in.
Absolutely.
And he's doing good work. So
speaking of preservation, the lost Super NES games were found this week.
Yes, I'm glad you brought that up, because
last week we didn't mention how they were lost.
And this is the frustrating thing to me, is how the story panned out. The guy's name, it's BYUU, so I'm just gonna say Bew, because that's
closest I got to.
There you go. So Bew posted on his forums that he had recovered it, and what happened was USPS contacted him, and this is where it gets so frustrating for me. They told him that the reason they are contacting him to help him specifically find his package is because media outlets were reporting on it, and it was making USPS look bad.
Yes.
And I was like, seriously? It takes that for you to find a lost package?
Oh, yeah. And the most frustrating part is where they found it. It was already at the auction site in Florida, ready to be auctioned off.
The label had been ripped off, is what happened in transit.
Yeah, the rest of the package was fine.
Oh my God, USPS.
But did you hear how the label ended up getting ripped off?
No, I didn't hear that.
Okay, so when Bew had sent the last package back to the guy, and I want to say it was Germany. It was Germany because
they've done this multiple times.
Yeah. So when he was sending it back to him, he was just going to reuse those same packages, and Deutsche Post told him, no reason to use a new package or tape those up or anything. We'll just cover them all in brown butcher paper and put the label on top of that. And
brown butcher paper, the sturdiest of packing materials.
And USPS specifically tells you not to do that because their machines will rip off any outer layer.
Plus, it's not the 1850s who puts things in brown butcher paper. But
so apparently Deutsche Post, who was supposed to be insuring the whole thing, intentionally went against USPS regulations in packaging the product. So so there was balls were dropped all over the damn place there.
It's just
but
it pisses me off.
It was ultimately recovered.
Yeah.
So there's that.
That's the important thing, is that he did get the games back. And it was one of those things where he was even talking about, he was like, I feel kind of bad because the reason I got this recovered is because of
the media attention.
The media attention and people noticing, and me using my position as a game, preservationist. That's why I was able to recover it. If it wasn't me, if it was some Joe Schmo that just happened to be doing this in his off time, it would have never come back to him.
But the question is, one, what Joe Schmo is going to be shipping that many games internationally?
If I could, I would.
And two, if that Joe Schmo is sending that many high-dollar games internationally, do you think that person couldn't get a media stink about it?
I guess so.
I think anybody could have. Because I got to say, most of the articles that I read about it, when they mention Bew, they're like, some guy named Bew who might have made a Super NES emulator.
Yeah.
I'm like, no. He made the Super NES emulator.
He did something about a Nintendo. Anyway, he can't find his games.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that anyone really could have ultimately gotten that media attention had this happen to someone else.
Yeah.
But it's still unfortunate that it had to get media attention before they took it seriously.
Fixed. Right. It wasn't enough that they do right by their customers. It was, oh, we look bad now? All right, now we'll do right by our customers.
I get what happened and how it happened. And
it makes sense.
Right. How it was.
But what should have happened is whenever USPS received it, they should have said, oh, no, this can't go where it's going, and shipped it back.
Especially considering, now, if it had just like vanished, and it vanished, and then USPS found it there, and they were like, okay, so it didn't have a label. Here you go. This is it. I get that. But they sent him the label that peeled off of the package.
Yeah.
So that's the part that makes it frustrating.
Clearly, someone was paying close enough attention to the machine to save it.
So somewhere in that factory, they're like, we got this box with no label. We got this label that got stuck in the machine. Oh, well.
Throw it into garbage.
Right?
That's my imitation of USPS employees. Just throw it into garbage.
Do they work at the game dumpster?
Yeah, that's where they work.
Welcome to the game dumpsters.
Just throw it into garbage.
We're just going to throw a box into garbage.
Anyway, enough ribbing USPS until like 2 or 3 minutes from now when we talk about our Switch pre-orders.
No, because here's the thing. As much as I ship and receive USPS at our house, they are on top of things like 99.9% of the time. Considering that they cost less than all their alternatives, nothing but props for them.
Oh, yeah.
Shit'll happen, but still nothing but props to them. UPS, on the other hand, can go eat a dick.
UPS, it's backwards out here in the boonies, is UPS. Okay, so in my address line where you normally put your apartment number, I put in my gate code because I'm on a gated property.
Yeah.
I put in gate code, and then so they can bring it in and leave it. They can leave it at the gate. I don't care, but I'm giving them options.
Right.
And I have a bin out there for them to put stuff in. USPS, I put a bin out there, and he delivers in it. Okay, cool. I put a bigger bin out there, because the next day he delivers a bigger package, but he just gives me a slip because it won't fit in the little bin. And I'm like, I feel like me having a bin implies that I'm okay with you leaving in this general area. Put a bigger bin out, he won't leave anything in it. Leave the gate open, he won't come up onto the property. Finally, I have to go to the post office and sign a waiver form instructing him to leave it outside the gate. He leaves it outside the other gate every time now. So I have to walk twice as far to go to the gate it's at. USPS comes on my property, goes all the way up to the back of my house and leaves it on my UPS, and leaves it on my back porch.
You see,
like the guy's risking getting shot out here. This
we had replaced our screen door a few years ago. But before that, we have a camera at our front door because my roommate's paranoid. And we had video footage of a UPS package that he had ordered. It was some bullshit from like a Walmart or something. It wasn't anything important.
Dildos are us.
Yeah, it was a bunch of dildos. They didn't know that. And we saw the video footage of it because it looked like it was beat to hell.
Right.
And we were like, well, what happened?
Yeah.
And it was like sitting in our flower bed, like upside down. And we're like, what happened? And we go and look at the video, and the UPS guy walks up halfway up our lawn, throws it at our front door. It bounces off of our bad screen door where the glass like hit glass and made a noise. You see him flinch from it making a noise, and then he shrugs and goes back to his car.
Oh, man.
So, good old UPS.
I do love that their whole thing is like rain or sleet or whatever. That's
the post office.
USPS, pardon me. USPS. But they were like, yeah, if it's raining, he won't deliver it. And I was like, it's in the slogan.
Yeah, the charter from 200 years ago. But
I guess they got a new charter?
It's the 21st century now. Our new charter is, we might need to take Saturdays off after all.
The new charter is, if an iPad couldn't survive in those conditions, then your postman can't. Oh, it's a little wet. No, I wouldn't take it out in that. No way.
Yeah.
Anyway, enough about shipping.
Yeah. Other news. Neo Turf Masters and World Heroes are on the Xbox One now.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which are one of them's just a great game.
Yeah, World Heroes is pretty awful.
Yeah, it's not. I love that SNK put out so many fighters.
Yeah, they put a shit ton out in that era.
And I love that I don't have to play most of them.
Because there was Art of Fighting and World Heroes and Fatal Fury, and of those three, one was playable.
Right.
And then they took those series and they were like, let's just take all the characters and just make Fatal Fury out of it.
Yeah.
Basically. And then they made it King of Fighters,
which is
much better.
They're still ongoing franchise, so at least it led to something, I guess. And, yeah, and then also there's this is old news, but there's Neo Geo games coming to the Switch too, and there's a new Neo Geo art book coming from Bitmap Books. Like there's Neo Geo stuff happening. Oh, and there's a Neo Geo Pocket Color style 2D fighting game coming to the Switch.
Also, there's a Neo Geo Flash card about to come out for the Neo Geo Pocket Color.
I don't know what's going on with Neo Geo lately, but I like it. I'm excited.
Everybody suddenly remembered who SNK is.
Even John Cena in an interview with Nintendo.
No, in an interview with Sports Illustrated.
Oh my God. He speaking of that interview, I'm glad. I think he's a good spokesperson. Yeah. He's fun. I think he's
got a sense of humor.
He's culturally aware enough of how much of a joke he is on the internet. Like he's having fun with it.
Yeah.
But man, he sounded like a robot in that interview. Yeah. I love the Nintendo Entertainment System 8-bit style graphics, which have
the thing is weird and robotic as he sounded saying it. When you look at his social media accounts, he's been posting weird, obscure video game shit forever.
He's genuine. He really is genuine about it.
He's just not very good at giving interviews.
I don't know who his Nintendo PR handler was, but they need to just, oh my God. They must be the same people that ran the Switch reveal. they must be the same handler Suda51 had at the Switch reveal. God.
We should have had a bad translator on top of John Cena.
Right.
Like, what he meant to say is that Double Dragon was his favorite game of all time.
Other than that, not much. There were some kind of retro themed games in the Nintendo Nindy stream.
Oh, there's a bunch of them
coming to the Switch. There's Blaster Master Zero, which is out in like a week or two.
I went into the Nindy's video expecting to not really care about anything because overwhelmingly when I see the indie game community, I'm like, those are all really neat and I'm not going to play most of them.
Right.
But every now and then something gets my attention. But in that video, like 4 or 5 of them, I was like, I'm going to have to buy that.
Is some of my favorite games, and we're about to talk about one of them here in just a couple minutes, are indie games these days because, again, you and I are both, in the grand scheme of things, niche gamers.
Yeah. Well, we've become that. We didn't used to be.
Right.
Yeah, there was a time.
But because of that, we both very much enjoy indie games. Right. But there's also this thing that I get where I'm like, oh, another moody puzzle platformer.
Right. This is totally not exactly like Braid.
Or Limbo.
Or Cave Story.
And it gets to a point where I'm so sick of it.
Yeah.
But I agree with you. There's some really cool stuff in the Nindy stream. There was Shovel Knight. There was Blaster Master. There was whatever that 2D Neo Geo Pocket Color Fighter. What's it called? It was
Pocket Rumble.
I think that was it. There was basically Fantasy Advance Wars, which is coming. Oh my God,
that one really got my attention. Yeah. That one and the one that wasn't super retro themed or anything, but I think it was called Flipping Death.
I didn't see that one.
As some girl ends up working as a Grim Reaper and has to. There's a world of the dead and world of the living, and she flips between the two. But when she flips into the world of the living, it looks like she possesses inanimate objects to try to force people into dying.
So it's basically that Sega Genesis game where you're a ghost and you have to scare people.
Which is Sega Genesis game?
I don't remember what it's called, but there's one where you're like a ghost and you have to go through this house and do these things to scare people, like go in this painting and come out and like turn into ooze and come out of a bathtub. I'm
blanking.
Someone will know it.
Yeah, someone will know it. And I'm sure I'll think of it in an hour.
Anyway, I do want to get into my week because I did get a game sent to me, the newest, which I'd followed this project for a while and then forgot about it, honestly, because I didn't back it on Kickstarter. And then I checked in on it 4 or 5 months ago and there weren't any updates. And I was like, oh, well, I guess it died. I don't know. Yeah. I mean, Kickstarters go. And it's River City Ransom Underground. Now, this game, it came out, surprised the hell out of me. They're like, it's coming out now. And I was like, oh, shit, So I got an email out to them and they sent us a code and I've been playing it. But it is licensed from Arc System Works.
Yeah.
So the interesting thing is, this is the first, because the Kunio games are still going on and still releasing in America occasionally.
Right.
This is the first sequel to River City Ransom.
Right.
So it's a sequel to the American, the localized version of one of the Kunio-kun games. Right. So it's important for fans of the games like me that this is a sequel to the American version.
Right. It is not part of the overall franchise per se.
Right. It's not a Kunio game.
Right.
I mean, it is, but it isn't.
Right.
It's really weird. It's the sequel to a localization. It's it's strange when you think about it in those terms.
The thing is, it's not the first time something like that has happened
in
film that's happened before. There was like 7 zombie movies in Italy, which were all just based on the localized version of Dawn of the Dead.
Yeah, and then there's Anyway, I've been playing River City Ransom Underground. I just got it today, like this morning, so I'm not very far in it. So these are all tentative, rulings. I don't want anything I say to be held against it. Okay, weird audio glitch. We're back. Anyway, so this is all tentative. I don't want anything I say to be held against it too heavily, or any of the praise I lavish on it to be taken too super seriously, because it's all still preliminary for me. Basically, I'm thoroughly enjoying it. It feels very the best way I can explain is it feels very American.
Yeah.
The game has a weight to it. Every single punch feels very meaty. I mean, you played a little bit of it with me. It feels the combat, the weight of the combat feels more akin to Double Dragon than it does a Kunio game,
which is also kind of a spin-off of the Kunio series.
Kind of is, and Abobo is in it.
Yeah.
But it's in a good way. It's in a satisfying way. Visually, it's stunning. Absolutely a stunning game.
Yeah.
Loving all of the artwork in it. There's tons of nods and some written and some visual homages to not only NES games but other indie games. I saw 2 of the Knights from Castle Crashers, the guy from Hyper Light Drifter. Again, Abobo's in it. There's just a lot of really cool, almost Retro City Rampage style homages.
Right.
Which are a lot of fun.
Now, we had gotten the question a few weeks ago about our favorite beat-em-up games. Did we remember to answer that on the show?
I think it got sidelined. I think
because of the whole thing.
Yeah, and we had stuff going on. There was stuff happened, all right.
Yeah.
No, I don't think we ever did mention that.
So favorite
River City Ransom, easy peasy.
And for me, it's a toss-up between Scott Pilgrim, which was excellent, and Guardian Heroes.
I never played Guardian Heroes.
Oh, so worth it.
It's on my list. I almost bought it on Xbox 360 the other day, or Arcade or whatever, Xbox Live Arcade.
Yeah, it's an updated version of it, but it's still good. It's still definitely worth getting. But I still love the Saturn original.
Yeah,
that's just one of those games.
It's anyway. The game's very much steeped in retro game culture, which on the one hand I enjoy the homages and the nods and the jokes. On the other hand, it I feel like it dilutes River City Ransom a little bit, and that really is just me talking as like a purist. Does that make sense?
I get you.
It'd be like if they put Cloud in the next Dragon Quest. It'd be like, oh, I know that guy, but then you'd be like, well, he's not from Dragon Quest, so technically. But really, they're spinning off the localized version. This is their own thing, because the localized version was barely even localized to begin with.
Its story was so tangentially related to anything that was part of the rest of the series.
But I'm enjoying it. It's a very difficult game, even for veterans of River City Ransom, because the controls are different enough. It's basically 6-button controls, 7-button controls. You've got
you got jump, punch, kick, and grapple. That was as far as I got.
You got 2 specials and a block as well.
Damn.
So there's a lot of buttons, so it's a lot to get used to, and it really is. It's a really hard game, and that's exacerbated by
I like how on the first screen it tells you that it recommends a future controller.
And then shows the Xbox One controller.
Yeah, it was an Xbox One.
But I'm it's not in a bad way. It's just in a you have to grind. I mean, you have to grind in the game, and I'm playing on story difficulty.
Oh,
which is nice that they have it.
Yeah,
I couldn't even imagine what hard is like.
I hate that when games have their difficulties set up to like not even a challenge as their basic difficulty, where they explicitly spell out this is just to play the game or just to see the story. There's barely any game, and then I still end up dying at some point.
Yeah, and you're like, I'm clearly an idiot.
Yeah, that happened to me with the most recent Deus Ex.
Yep.
Because the most basic level is tell me a story.
Right.
And I was like, I'll play on that difficulty. And I died during the tutorial.
Oh, man.
And it was painful.
The difficulty is exacerbated by the fact that, unlike River City Ransom, there's no neutral zones. When you go into town, it's still a free-for-all. And if you do too much damage to public property in some areas, or private property, I should say, or to civilians, police show up, Grand Theft Auto style.
If you beat up the UPS guy.
Right. Don't beat up the UPS guy. He's delivering my Switch. Yeah. Potentially never. Amazon, ship it. Just ship it already.
Seriously, come on. When it's less than 48 hours, come on.
But I am enjoying the game. I'm enjoying how sprawling it seems to be. I haven't played much of it again, but it seems to be a substantial game. You know, I mean, with something like this, they could easily copped out and just, okay, here's 10 new levels and whatever. You know, it's indie games, so whatever. They went all out. Especially, I'm still constantly impressed with the sprite work.
Nice.
Really, really.
Yeah, it does look really, really nice.
Yeah. Beyond that, I'll probably have something more substantial next week, but just initial impressions, really hard and a lot of fun. You can tell the guys that made it really, really love the franchise, and I'm glad that it exists. And I hope that it's successful and that the last River City game was successful, and we can have both the American version and the Japanese version of River City
run side
parallel
by side.
in multiple games,
and then maybe
releasing.
Someday cross over.
Oh, that would just be, my head would explode.
Yeah.
That'd be great. Anyway, I think that's all I have this week. River City Ransom. Just staring at my Switch pre-order screen, refreshing it over and over and over and over, and my Zelda shipped. But after, once this is live,
my Zelda hasn't shipped.
What?
No,
you ain't getting your Zelda, man. I'm telling you, it's not happening.
I ordered it. I ordered the special edition for Switch.
Oh, see, that was dumb.
And the regular edition for Wii U.
Yeah.
And Amazon's like, the Wii U version, I don't know, maybe April. and the Switch version is in the same package as my Switch.
Oh God!
So it hasn't switched. It hasn't shipped.
Hasn't switched yet.
Hasn't switched.
Oh,
switch.
The other thing I was going to talk about: this giant 30-pound book in my lap that I forgot about. I pre-ordered this a while back. This is the Zelda Art and Artifacts. I would like to write something about it, so I probably won't go too in depth. But
it's gorgeous.
It is an absolutely. If you did not like Hyrule Historia, and I did not. This is still a great book.
See, I loved Hyrule Historia.
I wanted more of the old stuff, Hyrule Historia. And again, like you said earlier, before we even started recording, there's not much story in the early games. There's not much for them to put in there.
Yeah.
But this one is there's a little bit more Ocarina of Time than there is the rest, of course. But it has so much of the early art. It's got entire pages of sprites back here.
Well,
which
didn't you know that Ocarina of Time is the first game in the series? Also the most important game in the series.
Well, if you're operating by the split timeline theory, then when
Jesus God,
it's got. I'll hold this up to the camera. It's got entire pages of sprite work here. I don't know if you saw that.
Oh yeah, you sent me pictures.
Yeah,
it's gorgeous.
It's just fantastic. It has an entire some interviews in the back. It's got a whole section that's just packaging, which is a fantastic American Japanese packaging, which really, really great. I think it was $27, which is just a damn steal.
Yeah, for how fucking huge it is.
Just based on size and quality of print.
I've had encyclopedia volumes that were smaller than that.
Oh, yes, the encyclopedia. I've heard of that.
Is that like the printed version of Wikipedia?
I actually just threw away a set of encyclopedias in the actual garbage.
Nice.
Courtney was like, keep them, they're cool. And I was like, no.
For what?
No.
What decade is this?
I'm never one to throw away a book, but no.
Yeah. You could have given them to Goodwill.
For what? For them to throw them away? How you want a K encyclopedia from 1997? Like, what do you get?
My parents still have a full set of Collier's encyclopedia from 1986.
Because they don't know how Wikipedia works.
They don't.
Saturn.
They really don't.
Anyway, Zelda Art and Artifacts. I absolutely, as coming from someone who didn't like Hyrule Historia. And I'm not a huge Zelda fan either. Truth be told.
See, I am a huge Zelda fan. Yeah. And I don't always get into art books. That was one of the reasons why I didn't pick it up. It was because for me, I'm pretty picky about that, because most art books I'll look through them once and be like, that's really neat.
And then never again.
And then they sit on my shelf, and I admire how nice they look on my shelf. But so that's part of why I didn't pick it up yet. But I do love that it has all the pixel art in there.
Oh, yeah. For me, it's the Zelda 1 and 2 art, and some of the Link's Awakening art is some really amazing watercolor, which I really love.
Of course, I still have all those manuals, though.
Right, but they're tiny. This is big.
Oh, right.
I used to sit and just stare at the artwork in the original NES manual for Zelda, and I would just sit and stare at it. So more than I like Zelda, I like the art from Zelda, which is a weird.
That is weird.
As someone who's not an art person, I'm really not. I'm not artistically inclined. I don't own other. This is my only art book that I own, except for stuff that came with games. You know. As someone who this is very much not my thing, I'm absolutely in love with this book. I completely it's fantastic.
Very nice.
Anyway, Saturn, what did I just wrote that you were going to talk about Dragon Quest or something because that's all you talk about in the notes.
Oh yeah, that's it. No, I've been playing more Ys Origin.
Yes.
And it's really a good port. Really happy with the PS4 port. And it is though a port, not like a re-release, not an upgrade,
which we talked about last week. A little
port.
bit.
But it's really good. It does remind me of some of the things that frustrated me about Ys Origin in the first place. Most notably the water. Sometimes you go underwater and there's a little bitty tiny oxygen meter next to your character.
It's 2 pixels wide.
Almost, especially when you're looking at it on a 60+ inch 1080p screen from 10 feet away or more.
Of course, yeah.
It's like barely a half inch to you. And so if you can't see it, you have no idea how much time you have to get out of the water.
Right.
So you just desperately try to get out of the water as quickly as you can. And you never do anything productive while you're in there.
There's no musical cue like in Sonic?
No, it's not like Sonic.
Alive, 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 dead.
Yes. And like I think there's like a little beep for like 2 or 3 seconds before you die.
So it's like beep dead. Like
it's like you're underwater for like 10 seconds, then you hear beep beep beep, and then the death music. And if you haven't saved in a while, that's incredibly infuriating.
Right.
But other than that, really enjoying it. It's a good port. It's worth getting. Also, I picked up Ogre Battle 64 on the Wii U.
Yes.
So started playing that again.
You bought a Wii U game.
I did.
During Switch Miss.
I know, right? But no, I dug on Ogre Battle 64 the first time, liking it now.
Now tell me this, because I didn't realize this. As someone who's only played Tactics Ogre on PSP and absolutely adored the game, I assumed they were all Final Fantasy Tactics style tactics games. I didn't realize they were not.
The ones that start with the word tactics.
Which makes you okay, to make me feel dumb. Yeah, I get it, but
okay, so the Ogre franchise had the 2 different subgenres. There was Ogre Battle and there was Tactics Ogre.
So what is Ogre Battle?
So Tactics Ogre is your strategy RPG, or your turn-based strategy RPG, and Ogre Battle is your more real-time-ish RPG with strategy elements. They're both definitely strategy games, but their gameplay style is different.
Okay.
Ogre Battle feels more like a more traditional JRPG-ish kind of game, but it still has strategy elements.
Looking at a small amount of screenshots, it looked like Ogre Battle wasn't so much concerned with unit placement on a field.
No.
It seemed to have everything else, but it wasn't like, okay, strategically move your chess pieces on this battlefield.
Right. Yeah, it's
which is my difficulty with the game anyway, because I'm not good at it.
Yeah, but there's still anything that Quest made back then, aside from maybe Magical Chase, is just super, super, super deep.
Right.
And has way... I end up spending hours on a single encounter in those games, and so they're just draining.
Because you have to do it perfect? Is it Fire Emblem Syndrome? Where you,
exactly.
I can't.
The only one where I ever just rushed through was the GBA Tactics Ogre game.
Yeah.
And
was that Knights of Lotus?
Yeah. And I had rushed to the end of that, but yeah, all the others I especially if I'm playing it on my TV, for some reason I feel the need to meticulously, expertly play every encounter.
Those games frustrate me, and this is something we'll touch on later in the show, because I won't replay shit.
Yeah.
Under any circumstances, I won't. And it's problematic for me for games like that, because there are times where it's like, if you fuck up bad enough, you'll jack your whole game. You need to go back. Yeah. You need to do it right.
You'll have to luck your way forward, if that.
Yeah.
Also, I've been having, because you had brought it up to me, and I am also having the problem of gaming ADD because the Switch is coming out.
Yeah.
Where any game that I start to play like an hour in, I'm like, I'm just going to be playing the Switch in a week, so why am I still playing this?
Well, it's this thing where we're both frothing at the mouth for the Switch.
Yes.
I mean, I'm in full-on froth mode.
Right.
If someone found me in the wild, they would put me down because they would think I have rabies.
Yes.
And
you might, but that's unrelated.
Yeah, it's from the skunk that bit me. It's not from...
from a chicken coop.
It's from a chicken coop. It's this thing where I'm like, all I'm thinking about is the Switch, so all I'm thinking about is games. So all I want to do is buy games and play games, and I play a game, and I'm like, that was fun for a minute, bye.
Yeah. I'll come back to you in 3 years.
And last week, I bought a graphics card, and I have all these PC games. I've bought like, I think 35 PC games in the last week between the bundle and everything else. I'm counting the bundle.
Right.
And I'm just like going crazy.
Yeah, I know. So I pulled up the Steam port of Grandia 2 because I bought that like a year and a half ago.
Almost bought that too because it was on sale on GOG.
And I bought it like a year and a half ago, and I finally was like, I'm going to sit down and play it.
Yeah.
It's a really good port. Like,
I've never played either of the Grandia games.
There's 3 of them.
I've never played any of the Grandia games.
Okay, so there's Grandia, which was good, real solid PS1 RPG.
Right.
Grandia 2, best RPG on the Dreamcast. Well, arguably the best RPG on the Dreamcast.
What about Tales, Saturn?
Huh?
Wasn't there a Tales game on Dreamcast?
No, Skies of Arcadia.
That's what I'm thinking of.
That's the one that people will fight over.
Yeah.
Is Grandia 2 versus Skies of Arcadia. I lean Grandia 2. I still respect Skies of Arcadia, but either way. And then years and years later, after Square Enix bought the franchise, then they put out Grandia 3. But before that, right before the Square Enix merger, Enix put out Grandia Extreme.
Was there at least an E at the beginning of the word extreme?
No. Maybe. I don't think so.
Maybe there was, but the X was capitalized instead of E.
Definitely,
is that maybe what you're thinking?
Definitely a capital X, but I don't think there was an E. But no, the thing, well, first of all, when it first came out, I was already a fan of the series, but anytime that we'd see the cover of it, me and my friends would have to go, Grandia Extreme!
As you do.
Yeah.
As you do.
And then when it first came out, I look at the case, and on the back, Enix put a big bubble there to advertise, featuring the voice talents of Dean Cain, Lisa Loeb, and Mark Hamill.
Why?
I feel like talents isn't the word they were searching for.
Yeah. That's ridiculous.
But it's no, Grandia Extreme is awful. It's basically a roguelike mixed with a JRPG, but very, very poorly.
Okay. So not good.
Don't play it.
It's not extreme?
It's not as extreme as they led me to believe. It has Dean Cain in it.
There's a small amount of extremeness, but it could be way more extreme.
Yes.
It's no X Games.
No. Yeah, but Grandia 2 on Steam, excellent port, absolutely worth picking up. I was really happy with how that one turned out. The weird thing was all the battles were going in super, super slow-mo. Apparently, if you have it set to 60 FPS, you get slow-mo battles. If you drop it down to 30, everything runs like it did on the Dreamcast.
That's backwards.
Yes.
That is the opposite of how physics work.
So that's a known glitch that Gung Ho Interactive, who put out this port, has no intentions of ever fixing.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure not. I can't imagine they would.
And then I played some Half Minute Hero for a little bit just because it's a game that I can play in 30-second chunks.
It's a game that is as ADD as you are right now.
So it absolutely fit. And then I got the Hyperkin X91 controller in.
Yeah, and that is some garbage.
It is just garbage.
What a piece of shit.
Don't buy that controller.
Yeah, I really do like Hyperkin as a company, but their output is so up and down.
Right.
It's like one product comes out and I'm like, this is amazing.
Yeah.
And then I'll buy more of their products and I'm like, this is shit.
Yes.
So
their controllers are pretty consistent.
Zinger. That's so this is basically an Xbox One controller that they've crammed down into the form factor of a Super Nintendo controller.
Yeah, just barely bigger than a Super NES controller.
And the problem is, and we were playing River City Ransom with it before we started the show, so I could check it out, is that the D-pad is so close to the thumbstick that you were reaching over the thumbstick to get to the D-pad.
And also the other thumbstick is so close to the face buttons that anytime that I would hit the X button, I'd end up nudging the right analog. And also, the triggers are awful.
I don't know what they were thinking with the triggers. I feel like they designed the whole thing, and then some guy came in and they're like, Bill, you forgot the triggers, man. And he was like, oh, fuck, just glue them on. Like, what happened,
Yeah,
man?
It is only $30, which is cheap for an Xbox One controller.
But you can't actually play a video game with it, so that's a downside.
Yeah, that is the downside.
Is that it's affordable, but does not do anything.
Now, you were playing River City Ransom with it. I gave it my test of a good 2D controller, and that's Super Metroid. So I plugged it into my PC because it is Windows 10 compatible. It does not work on Linux. It didn't even recognize it as a device. Not like we don't have a driver, but there's nothing plugged in.
That's what doesn't make sense, because Xbox One controllers work on damn near anything.
Yeah.
How is this different?
I don't know.
It is an Xbox One controller.
But I plugged it into my Linux machine, and it's like, no, you didn't plug anything in. Yeah. There is nothing there. And then I plugged in my Xbox One controller to make sure I wasn't crazy, and it immediately recognized it. But so I played it on my PC, pulled up an SNES emulator, put on some Super Metroid, and man, the buttons are just too tall. So there's too much.
I noticed that. They felt there's too much action on them. The action's too high, and they felt really squished.
Yes. And also the D-pad has the same problem where it's raised too much. So there's too much distance for it to travel.
Right.
And so it's really hard to really get in a groove of anything.
Right.
The good news this week is we learned that the Switch Pro controller is Bluetooth and will sync up with the computer.
Which I'll never use because I don't use Bluetooth controllers unless I am playing on PS3 or PS4 or
Xbox One.
Is basically it.
Yeah, I've been using my Xbox One controller on my PC. I have no problems with it.
I just plug mine in. Yeah. I can't.
Well, now that I got the Bluetooth one, I just use it through that because I can't notice a difference myself.
I don't know how people can't notice Bluetooth controller lag, but
I can't.
Well, honestly, a lot of it is probably you don't play with a plugged-in controller, so you don't see the difference anyway.
I had been playing with a 360
I don't know
wired
what's wrong
controller
with you
the whole time. But no, I honestly can't tell the difference.
I don't know what's going on in your brain then. Yeah. I have no idea. Anyway, let's get to our topic at hand. I did choose this topic myself because I wanted something that was a little easier, a little bit more fun, and a little more focused, because obviously the last two episodes were very covered a lot of ground.
Very spread out.
Which I very much enjoyed doing, but it's draining, so I wanted to take a break and just sit down.
I feel like this is the expanded classic corner format of episodes.
Which I enjoy doing from time to time.
Because this is specifically one that you had not played, right?
Right. So we're doing Wario World this week, which I announced last week in the final version of the show that launched.
Yeah.
Because I never played Wario World, and I absolutely adore non-WarioWare Wario games. Now, which isn't to say I don't like WarioWare. Right. I've just not really played them.
Well, let's real briefly to talk about when it came out, because I was really super stoked about it and looking forward to it. And Nintendo was making a big deal because they had 2 Wario games releasing that summer.
Yeah, so it'd be
WarioWare and then Wario World. WarioWare was on May 26th. Wario World was just a few weeks later on June 23rd.
Now, when was Wario Land 4? Was that...
That was 2 years before either of these.
Okay, that's what I thought.
And it was the last of the Wario Land games until Shake It, if you count that.
No one counts Shake It. And how dare you bring it up? Well, there was also Master of Disguise, and how dare I bring that up?
Yeah, exactly. But so the Wario Land series had effectively ended.
Right.
And
just so sad. God, there's Wario Land 3 and 4 have some of the most amazing sprite work I've ever seen.
Still haven't played any of them.
Oh my God, they're so good.
The last...
You're an ambassador. You have it on your 3DS. I know.
I didn't get the ambassador. What? I bought mine right before the cutoff, and they didn't count me, so I didn't get any of my games.
Oh, I bought 2 3DSs on launch day.
I got to spend the money on it, but not get the ambassador program.
Saturn.
Yeah.
You poor sad individual. I know. Now I'll just have to lord my ambassador program games over your head for the rest of eternity.
You've done that before, but it's been long enough that you forgot. But no, so I was super stoked when these came out because prior I had very little interest in Wario. The Wario game that I had played prior to this was Mario Land 2.
Yeah, which is marginally a Wario game.
Yeah, because he's the villain. And
he's in it.
Yeah, he was in the commercials pretty heavily.
Yeah.
But that was the only real experience I had with him aside from like Mario Tennis and whatnot. Right. But Treasure was making this. And this was during an era where I was super, super, super into Treasure.
As well you should have been.
Because I believe Ikaruga had just come out in the U.S. or was about to come out in the U.S. I had just gotten my copy of Radiant Silvergun. I had Silhouette Mirage. I had Mischief Makers. I had all these.
And then they made a game about a fat anti-plumber.
Yeah. And then they announced that the new Wario game was going to be made by Treasure. And I was like, well, I have to try it.
Well, I sat down to play this, and it's a game that I'd seen around a bunch.
Mm-hmm.
For whatever reason, it never struck me. I never bothered. I don't. I think it may have been because it was right before WarioWare, which never really appealed to me.
It was right after WarioWare.
After. It was around the same time.
Right.
It was at the same time, and I think I just lumped it in with those as something that looks interesting, but it's just not for me. Minigame compilations aren't a thing that I super duper enjoy.
I loved all the NES homages in WarioWare. That sold me on it entirely.
And I've played enough of it. It is cool.
Yeah.
I don't play games in a party environment, and I never have, and I rarely have the opportunity to.
Entirely single player.
That's like, you're just
100%
weird.
single player. Well, the first one is only single player.
Is it?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
It wasn't until GameCube they added a multiplayer mode. But the very first WarioWare, 100% single player.
Maybe I played in my ambassador programs.
There you go.
So was it an ambassador game?
I don't know. Why are you asking me?
Yeah, you don't have them.
Yeah, but you can download a demo of it from Wario World onto your Game Boy.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
Well, you can download other games from Wario World onto your Game Boy. Aren't there other games built into it?
I think it's just the demo of that I know of.
I thought it was other mini games.
There maybe.
I don't know because I didn't do it.
Yeah.
But I do want to talk about before we talk about Treasure, and I also want to bring up kind of the state of collectathon games, which this very much is.
Yeah.
The marketing and the guide and the manual for this game is so hilarious.
Yes. Nintendo of America did a great job on that.
Like there's in I think I'll make it the show art for this week, but the very last page of the manual is a cutout of Wario, like cut down the middle, like bisected.
Yeah.
And it's just him talking about how amazing his body is.
Yeah.
In very, very Trump-esque terms.
It's the best body.
Really funny. And the characterization they have for Wario it's as fleshed out as it ever got.
Yeah.
Because I feel like Wario was on this rise where he was becoming his own individual character, and he had his own personality, and then WarioWare happened, and it just kind of dumbed him down to this goofy mini game guy that he's tangentially associated with.
Yeah, it kind of WarioWare's success pretty much killed off the previous Wario franchise.
So Wario World, in a way, is kind of
it's like the swan song of
his personality.
Yeah,
you know, which and you still kind of see it in the Smash Brothers games a little bit, kind of, I guess. Yeah. But the you know,
but even then, his default costume in Smash Brothers is based on Wario.
Where it's the motorcycle one, you know, and I miss the fake Mario, the yellow overall wearing goofy,
which you can
weird
still see
Wario.
in like Mario Kart and Mario Tennis and such.
He's still around. It's just it's a shame that Wario World was their last attempt at making him a fleshed out character.
Yeah. Until Shake It.
Stop! Would you just stop? It's got him jacking off a Wiimote on the cover. What do you, God?
Well, with a name like Shake It, where else were they going to go?
WarioWare Shake Weight. Anyway, I did just want to...
It's got this cooling cream that it'll spit at you when you're done.
I did just want to bring that up to talk about the state of Wario.
Yeah.
And for people that... because it was this brief window where it was like Wario Land 3, 4, and Wario World was where he was being characterized. And Wario Land
1 and 2.
Yeah. They were good, but because they were on Game Boy and Game Boy Color.
That's fair.
I don't feel like they had the technology behind them to really give him a personality.
Yeah,
he couldn't be as expressive as he was in the later games.
That's fair. I'll give you that.
But it was this brief window in Wario's lifespan where he got to be a character. You know, so I wanted to bring that up because that was a very big point of his character in the game, and the marketing and the manual and the guide and everything surrounding the game was very much like, look at Wario as this like goofy like anti-hero,
right?
Which it was super fun. I really enjoyed that, but no longer. Anyway, what year did you say this game came out?
It was in 2003. It was June 23rd.
I didn't expect this to be. First of all, the game it's a brawler.
Yes,
it's a brawler with some platforming and forced in puzzle segments.
Yes, weird puzzle segments.
The basic.
The puzzle segments are the only time where you have full control over your camera. and it's really awkward control over your camera.
Oh yeah, it's like Mario 64
yeah,
level
it's
control.
in 64 control.
So basically, the formula of the game is you enter a level, and the levels are gigantic, hour-long collectathon, multiple gizmos and gadgets that you have to collect and slog through.
But they're practically 3D side-scroller levels.
They really are. Yeah, absolutely.
It's not like the wide-open fields of Mario 64.
Right. But it's a side-scroller with lots and lots of backtracking, lots and lots of collecting, finding hidden this, hitting a switch over here, running all the way back over there, which I didn't expect in a Wario game.
Right.
But my disconnect with the game, initially I was excited because I was like, this is a brawler. I love beat-em-ups. I love brawlers. I love that style of game. And it's an enjoyable one, too, with multiple different moves that you have. Yeah. And then I realized I'm in these giant collectathon levels, which I don't enjoy collectathons.
Right.
Each one of them's at, I say an hour. Some of them I probably really did spend about an hour, and I didn't collect all of anything in any of the levels.
Yeah, it takes about an hour to get everything in most levels.
And so the basic formula of the game is you go through beating up enemies and finding collectibles, and then you have to enter a series of
puzzle
like Captain Toad style mini levels in which you solve platforming puzzles.
Right. And sometimes incredibly frustrating platforming puzzles.
Extremely frustrating platforming puzzles. And his fucking death noise. Because some of these puzzles, so here's the thing, when you're in the regular level, whenever you die, you can pay 200 coins to come back, and it's, so it's just like a regular game. But when you're in these puzzle levels, you can die as many times as you want. It puts you back at the beginning of these little like one screen mini levels. Right. So they make them so hard that sometimes you'll die over and over and over and over and over again because you're just running because you don't care because you have infinite lives and whatever to get through this mini puzzle level. And when he dies, he goes, "Nyeh." So
really, whoever did the sound for this game needs to be tortured. So, because it's not just that either.
Well, there is the 20 solid minutes of "Nyeh," and then you playing the game.
And then there's the pause music.
Yes. Which is...
Oh my God.
Which is literally just... Nyeh, 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 nyeh.
It's Wario angrily taunting you.
There's an Easter egg if you listen to it for... And I didn't do this.
Was it like 2 hours or something?
50 minutes. If you listen to the irritating pause music for 50 minutes, Wario will apologize for taunting you.
Yes. Which I have heard.
What is he? Did you
I don't remember.
Sorry?
It's been 10 years at least.
Come on, Saturn.
But no, when I worked at a game store, some kid would leave it on pause all the fucking time.
Oh my God.
And every now and then I'd hear him, I think he just goes, "Oh, sorry." Something like that. If I remember right.
Yeah.
And I remember the first time hearing that, like, the hell? What happened?
God.
But God, that fucking pause music, I could go another 10 years without playing it again, and it will still haunt me.
I leave my systems on. When I'm playing games for research, I just leave the games on for days at a time. And it's my daughter will come in here and hit the gamepad, and I played it on my Wii U. Yeah. And she'd come in here and touch the gamepad, and the TV would be off, and I'd hear from the other side of the room, "Yeah, yeah, yeah, yeah." And I was like, oh God, no.
Yeah.
So all this to say that the game has a little bit of an identity crisis. It wants to be a collectathon platformer. Right. It wants to be a puzzle platformer, and it wants to be a beat 'em up all in one. Yeah. And instead of finding a way to integrate those into a way that is seamless, they just go, here's this segment, and here's this segment, and here's this segment, and you alternate back and forth between the three really fast.
Well, if I had to guess what happened, and this is pure conjecture, but at this point, Rare was already starting to go away. Yeah. If they hadn't already gone away. And so they lost their first party developer that was making things like Banjo-Kazooie.
Collectathons, yeah.
So they needed some kind of game to fill that void. And you got Treasure volunteering to make a game for you.
Right.
Why would you tell them to be the ones to make your collectathon? I think
know.
Treasure just was defiant and like, no, we're putting random puzzle shit in there.
Well, what kills me is if they just took the puzzle segments out entirely, it would be a really good brawler platformer.
Right. Like if they had just replaced the puzzle segments with just like when you fall through the trapdoor, you get the item and then you're done.
Well, what would be even better, and this is how I would redesign it, is the segments where you have to go find a button to get a random piece of treasure, make those the parts where you get the red gem that you need to beat the level, because that's what we didn't, I don't know if we said it, you have to get every puzzle segment in a level to finish the
Is
level.
it everyone? I thought it was just a number of them.
I don't know. It was
I think
always
the first level you only need like 7 of the 13 or something like that.
Really?
Yeah, something like that.
I can't even imagine there's more than that.
Oh
Jesus.
yeah. There's a ton of them.
There's so many collectibles and different collectibles that it's overwhelming.
Because there's the collectibles you need to finish the level. There's the collectibles you need to increase your health.
Right.
I think that there's one that
you got random treasure bits you trigger with the buttons. You got the gold Wario statues that you build. You got the red treasure bits. You've got it's
been a little while since I've played it, so I'm.
You got coins.
Yeah, there's coins.
There's coins. I know, shocking in a Wario game,
right? And there's the little what are they called? Spritlings.
Yep, you got to collect the spritlings, which
so
those affect which ending you get.
Yeah, they also give you really increasingly useless hints.
Yeah. Yeah. By the end, it's just like, don't die.
Yeah.
Because that's bad.
Right.
Well, what upsets me about the game is there's so many different collectibles that it feels like when I play a free-to-play game on my phone now, and it's like, well, if you get enough dust, you can turn it into gems, and if you get enough gems, you can buy coins, and coins are used to purchase these items, which you can open with another item that is bought with real-world currency.
Which will then turn into dust.
Like, yeah, which will then turn into dust. Like, that's how it feels, and I'm like, I don't even... What?
Yeah, let's narrow it down a little bit.
Yeah, like give me coins and give me one other thing.
Yeah.
And then let me just beat the shit out of stuff. And that's enough. That's fun enough.
Yeah.
But
see, personally, I'm still of the mindset of like the 8-bit and 16-bit era where there was always collectible shit there, but it was always optional. And you didn't get a counter at the end of each level to say, oh, you missed 3. I
didn't even realize until almost to the end of the game that you can increase your health. So I played through 3/4 of the game with the original 4 hearts that you start, and I was like, "This game is so fucking hard."
Yeah, it is a tough game.
Yeah, and that's the next thing I was gonna say is I didn't finish the game. God knows I tried. It gets so hard.
Yeah,
because
you didn't get any health power ups.
One, I didn't get any health power ups, and 2, you basically have infinite lives because you have so much money that game overs do nothing except waste 45 seconds of your time to go to the menu and say, okay, yes, continue, and it takes the coins out. And I think they designed around that because Treasure's not known for making super easy games.
No.
And I think it was this thing where Nintendo was probably like, well, you can't just stomp players into the dirt. You have to let them, giving them a way to easily continue. And they're like, all right, fine, then we're going to make it hard as nails.
Yeah.
I do applaud the game for its variety, its enemy variety, its enemy design. There are some really cool enemies in this game.
I give it credit for not feeling like pretty much every other Nintendo platformer.
Absolutely. It is definitely unique among Nintendo platformers.
Especially if you're comparing it to other Mario universe platformers, it definitely stands out.
One thing that I kind of wish they had was power-ups. I mean, Wario has no power-ups. No. It's just a brawler and a collectathon. Yeah. But the enemies are where the game does shine. There's some really cool enemy varieties. Like there's these icicle guys that you have to take and pile drive into the ground and use them as platforms, which is really ingenious. Yeah. There are basically mini bosses in every stage, which are door bosses. So you go up to a door and the door is integrated into a monster in some way. Yep. My favorite one, I don't know if you remember this one, it was called an Angler Mangler. It was basically the fish from the water level in Mega Man 2 with the big angler thing hanging down. And you have to catch these guys in barrels, slam them onto the ground, and that shoots them out into the little hanging angler thing. It was genius.
Yeah.
Really, really cool design. Yeah. But, my God, it was hard.
Yeah. And have you played any of Treasure's other platformers like Mischief Makers or Silhouette Mirage or any of those?
No.
Okay.
I've not.
Because the brawling element seems to be a
common thread.
Consistent.
Yeah.
It's very similar to the I wouldn't say it's identical, but it's very similar to the kind of gameplay you'll see in Mischief Makers, for example. But
which is another one that's on my list, which is heavily praised. I just never played it because it's an N64 game, and why no.
Yeah.
One thing, another thing I really did enjoy about the game is how creepy. It's a creepy ass game.
Yeah.
It's creepy and that.
I am shocked with how much they let them get away with.
I know.
Atmosphere wise.
Because at first I was playing through and I don't remember when I first noticed it. Actually I do. It was there was a level boss that was a baby,
Mm-hmm.
and the whole thing was kind of, I was like, this is a little creepy,
Yeah.
man. Like, this is some like middle of Akira kind of creepy nursery kind of
Right.
shit. This is strange, and I just wrote it off.
Yeah.
Because every now and then there's creepy, you know,
Right.
and I also get scared and creeped out really easily. So I was like, all right, that's a little weird. And then I get a couple bosses later to this clown boss,
Yeah.
and I'm like, this is straight up some creepy shit.
And then if it is a little unnerving for you and you pause it, Wario will taunt you.
Yeah.
You're like, whoa, I need to take a break. Nya, 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 nya.
But unnerving is a good word because it's not scary or anything.
Right.
It's just unsettling.
Yes.
Everything is just a little bit creepy,
Mhm.
you know, and it never does anything outright scary.
Right.
But
Yeah,
the
there's
whole
no
time,
jump scares or anything like that.
it's creepy in that like early CG kind of way, like, and
Like-
it almost
like
feels
it's kind of uncanny valley kind of thing.
right. It almost feels like an intentional design too,
Right.
because they didn't have to go
I'm
that route.
certain it is an intentional
Oh,
design.
yeah. And then like
You have to remember what era this was too, because this was the era where Nintendo was trying to prove that they were mature friendly. Because you had Luigi's Mansion, you had Eternal
Mhm.
Darkness, you had Geist, you know, all these
God,
weird, not skewing towards kids games coming
Right.
from Nintendo. So this really just fell right in line at the time.
Mhm.
But when you look at overall Nintendo's history,
it
it's
stands
weird
out.
and it stands out.
Yeah. So this all of it was strange. The blob creatures in the ice level are just downright. They scared the shit out of me.
Yeah.
Um.
I remember I sold plenty of people this over Mario Sunshine with their
Mhm.
GameCubes, and several of them came back to me and they're like, "That game was weird as fuck, but I still enjoyed it."
It is definitely a weird game.
Yeah,
Another thing I noticed were some kind of like Zelda-y kind of stuff.
Yeah.
One, and this is just me just connecting dots. You know, there's that. I don't think there's anything any deeper than just connecting dots
Right.
and coincidence. Well, maybe not coincidence, but your health is hearts, which you gain more of. When you have one
true.
heart, it does the Zelda beeping sound.
yes.
There was this.
Well, that's because they hadn't put enough annoying noises in the game.
Right,
yet.
I'm surprised that it's not just Wario going.
Ha, 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 ha. I miss.
There's this one boss that felt very Zelda-y. Because all the bosses are like, okay, you have to do a thing and grab a thing and throw a thing and then punch the thing and then throw a thing. Like they all feel very Zelda-y in that they have. They're all a puzzle, you know.
Yeah,
they're
yeah.
these interlocking puzzle pieces that you have to do in sequence to harm the boss.
Yeah.
One boss in particular was this double-headed dragon.
Mhm.
So it's these two dragon heads that face each other, and you have to beat the shit out of one so that this one shoots fire at
Right.
it. And the whole thing felt very Zelda-y.
Yeah.
And
I
it
can see that.
just makes me wonder, you know, I was like, did they do this on purpose? Or, you know?
I remember reading a ton of the reviews and previews about it before it came out,
Mhm.
and there was very little information about the development of it that I remember, but it got oddly skewed high scores
Mhm.
when it first came out. And I think that might have been because a lot of the gaming press that I read at the time really liked to suck Treasure's dick. So I remember Dave Halverson in Play
Yeah.
gave it a perfect score.
Mhm.
And he didn't give out perfect scores very often,
Right.
but almost always did anything by Treasure.
Right.
He would give out a perfect score. He's over at Game Fan again now.
Mhm.
Um,
It's weird that Game Fan is
Right,
That's
is back.
weird.
and there were several others like at the time, like the more indie friendly websites
Mhm.
all seemed to skew really high on the game.
Yeah.
Whereas stuff that was more mainstream like EGM and GamePro seemed to be giving it like a 7, like an average.
I feel like it's one of those games that certain people will applaud the aesthetics that
Yeah.
I've been calling creepy and weird, you know, because it in some way it pushes some design thing
Yeah.
forward. And I can fully understand that, and I fully admit that it's one of those things where I just may not understand it,
Right.
you know, to a certain degree, the art of the aesthetics and
Yeah.
why they're important. But I just really, for me, my problem is that one, the game is formulaic to a fault.
Yes.
It's okay. Here's your level. Collect your things, and then fight the boss.
Find
Okay,
the- yeah.
it's but I also was trying to cram the game into a week.
Yeah.
And this is not the kind of game. It's just going to frustrate the shit out of you because it's
Yes.
the kind of game where there's segments that you're playing over and over and over and over again, collecting everything, trying to get through all the puzzles, trying to get through the puzzles the first time.
Yeah.
Like,
And then And then you'll just get so frustrated that you need to take a minute, and then you just pause it, and you hear that fucking noise again.
It's very much a game that I think if I played it over the course of a couple months in between playing other games, I think I'd really enjoy it.
Which is how I played it the first time.
Right, which I think that's how a game like this is best played. I really think that's how any collectathon is best played. If you sit down and you're like, this weekend I will collect all of the bananas in Donkey Kong 64, you're going to kill yourself. Yeah, you're going to die from it.
Then I'll take those bananas and I'll stab myself in the eyes.
But if it's one of those things where you're like, oh, I'm going to go back and play more Donkey Kong 64 and get more bananas, like, yeah, that's fun.
Right.
But because it makes collecting so mandatory, you can't enjoy the game unless you're willing to go through those those collectathon segments, which segments, it's the whole game.
Yeah.
But so I ended up having a frustrating experience with the game because of that. But I can still appreciate the game for what it is. And I would still definitely recommend it, even if someone just goes and plays the first few levels to see how weird it is.
Yeah, honestly, especially by today's standards, just playing the first few levels will get you a pretty solid feel of it. And
because it's the same all the way to the end.
There's an ice theme later.
Oh shit.
But no, I still recommend it. It's still one of the GameCube games that I tend to recommend. I actually recommend it over Sunshine still.
Yeah.
I also recommend it over Luigi's Mansion, but I think I just never gave Luigi's Mansion a fair chance.
I loved Luigi's Mansion. Oh man, I loved that game.
Yeah, when it first came out, I picked it up and was interested in it primarily because it was Treasure.
Yeah.
Because I love Treasure. But I picked up WarioWare as well a couple weeks before it came out because I was like, well, I better get into this whole Wario thing because I had skipped all the Wario Land games. I was like, I better figure out what this Wario guy is all about. And WarioWare is not the warm-up you need for this. First of all, they're completely unrelated.
Right.
Second, WarioWare really could have any character in it.
Oh, pretty much, yeah. It does not require Wario at all.
But it is still fun. I fucking love WarioWare, and I recommend it to everyone. It is a ridiculous collection of ADD games. And if you want just some ridiculous ADD games, I anticipated loving Wario World and putting up with WarioWare. Yeah. And in 2003, the exact opposite happened.
I think anybody interested in Nintendo's history, their development history, or especially GameCube era Nintendo, you have to check out Wario World because it's just too weird to not.
And if you're a fan of Treasure, it's a weird footnote in their history.
There you go. If you're a fan of Treasure, maybe don't play it because it might make you think less of Treasure.
No, I wouldn't say that.
You don't think so?
Yeah, if you're a fan of Treasure, then you've probably already played some of their lesser games.
You're used to it.
Yeah, and
you're fine with it.
You know what the Treasure bell curve is like.
It's one of those things where playing it, the act of playing it, by the time I quit, was so frustrating that I couldn't stand it. And finally, I was like, all right, I just got to be done. But looking back on it, I already want to go back and play more. You know,
yeah. When you look at it objectively, you're like, I respect that. That is a quality title. But while you're in the process of playing it, you're like, why won't this level end?
Yeah. So again, definitely something where if I was playing a level a week, I would have a blast with it.
Yeah. But I'm going to go ahead and take a moment to please ask Pablo, do not dub in the pause music. I don't.
You know he's going to now.
We will lose listeners. So I could just imagine, like when we mentioned it earlier, that he looked it up and he was like, "Oh, this will be funny," and then he just puts it really quiet behind the entire episode. Yeah,
for an hour and 15 minutes.
And I'm like, "Oh God, don't do that. Don't do that."
Anyway, that's Wario World. I did. It's a game, like I said, I wanted to cover. I wanted to play it.
Yeah.
Does not live up to Wario Land for me. At all. Wario Land is.
I need to go and play those at some point.
God, they're the pinnacle of 16-bit platform action games.
Yeah.
They're just. There's nothing gets better. The charm, the power-ups, the design.
I've got a copy of Wario Land 2 on Game Boy, not Game Boy Color. I have the Game Boy port.
Wario Land 2 is a great game.
And the reason I've not played it, or 3 or 4, is because I haven't been able to find a copy of Mario Land 3.
Oh, God. Get it on Virtual Console.
I could, but...
It's not the same.
It's not the same.
Anyway, I do want to mention that we are going to be putting out something for the Switch, because the Switch
that was the other news this week.
What?
The Switch is coming out.
Well, yeah. The Switch is falling in between our recording schedules, so it's kind of one of those things where we're going to get to it late on the official show. So I don't know what we're going to do. I don't know if it's going to be a YouTube video or if it's just going to be impressions. We're going to all get together and
it's just going to be a picture of us dead in front of a UPS truck that never delivered our Switches.
Yeah. So hopefully we get them.
Yeah.
Hopefully we get the damn things.
Oh, don't even joke about that. I'm hoping that I get them on time. Don't even play the hopefully we get them.
But
I have $4,000 in available credit on my Amazon credit card.
Jesus.
I swear to God, if Amazon manages to fuck this up,
you're gonna yell at someone.
I will get very angry.
I will do nothing but be very frustrated. Much. Yeah, I know that feeling.
Pretty much what'll happen.
How don't you dare do it, or I won't do anything. But will I?
I will threaten to take my business elsewhere, which would never happen because you guys give a good discount.
I'll go to Amazon.com and flip my computer screen off. What was I saying? So yeah, we're gonna put out something. So keep an eye on our social media feeds because something will be going out there. And to end the show, we have our weekly question from Dougie, who is our Patreon at our participant tier.
I've been thinking about this question all day.
Dougie's question this week: what is the worst game you have ever played? And don't say Chuck Rock 2. And I mean persevered with for at least a few hours.
So I've been thinking about this. And there were a lot of bad games, especially back in the 80s and 90s.
But ones you really spent time with.
Yeah, and that's what I'm thinking about, because there were a lot of bad games that I spent a lot of time with during the 8-bit era, especially on those old computers like the Commodore and on the Atari and then later the NES and then eventually the Super NES. There was a lot of games that I spent time with just because I had to. That was what was available. We had already spent the money renting it.
Yeah.
Or we had already gotten the disc at the whatever store we could buy Commodore games at still. So, it was our thing. We had to play it now.
Right.
And then I started thinking about all the bad FMV games.
Oh God.
On the SegMeg.
The SegMeg CD.
Yeah, on the SegMeg CD. And also on PC. And I remembered this really awful PC game I got around 97 or 98. And it was a Frankenstein game starring Tim Curry.
Oh shit.
As Victor Frankenstein.
Whoa.
In these really bad FMV segments. And then I started thinking about it and I was like, I can't remember the game. I just remember Tim Curry. And so that got discounted. Then I was thinking about Tim Curry and I remembered the Rocky Horror game on CD, which had the great Christopher Lee.
Oh God.
In its FMV segments. Christopher, like Saruman, Christopher Lee.
Yeah. You mean Dracula from the Hammer films?
Yeah, from the Hammer films. Love the Hammer films. Anyway, but yeah, so it had Christopher Lee as the narrator.
Yeah.
And then it would cut to the game, and it was a remake of the Commodore point-and-click Rocky Horror game.
Oh, God.
And then I remembered that worse than all that is the same answer I give every time someone asks this question, and it's always no one can stop Mr. Domino for the PlayStation 1.
You single-handedly on this show have done more to damage the reputation of No One Can Stop Mr. Domino.
God damn you, Mr. Domino. You know what? I will stop you.
I was about to say, someone can stop you, and it's Chris Saturn, and he's going to do it.
I will stop you, Mr. Domino.
I'm going to start a Kickstarter called Let's Stop Mr. Domino.
Seriously. I looked online to find out what the prices are. It still goes for like $20.
Jesus.
Someone is paying $20 American for No One Can Stop Mr. Domino.
It's the foundation to destroy all copies of No One Can Stop Mr. Domino.
That game was sold in every region. It was put out in the PAL regions. It was put out in Japan and America. I don't know why. Acclaim wanted $30 for it when they sold that game. There's no good reason for that. I paid more than that.
For me, and again, the crux of the question is not just terrible games, but games you've really put time into.
Yeah.
And 3 NES games came to mind for me. It was
Werewolf.
I have not put much time into Werewolf. I played it for an afternoon once.
All right.
These games I'm about to list are games that I've played for hours and hours, weekends, months, summers, Christmas vacations. They were always in our rotation. Dick Tracy.
Oh, God.
Beetlejuice. And Mylon's Secret Castle.
Oh, I love Mylon's Secret Castle.
And all 3 of them are garbage games. Yeah. Absolute trash garbage.
Yeah, if we're going to throw some more garbage games out there that I love, because I do love Mylon's Secret Castle.
Oh, Mylon's Secret Castle, far and away, played more than any of those games.
Dick Tracy is garbage. I will back you up on that.
It's a piece of shit.
It's not It's almost as unplayable as Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
Yeah.
But another game that I love that is garbage is Dr. Chaos.
I see that all the time.
It was made by Pony Canyon.
Oh, God.
Or FCI, or whatever they wanted to call themselves at the time. And it is a side-scrolling platformer where your weapon is a knife that is so slow that by the time that you've hit the attack button, you've already taken damage and gotten knocked back 8 knife lengths. So you can't attack. Your jump is bullshit. Like, you can jump up to your ankles. Mm-hmm. That's as far up as you can jump. And it arbitrarily goes into these first-person point-and-click segments. Like I'm playing this action game. Never mind, now it's an adventure game. And sometimes during the first-person point-and-click segments, you'll click something and a monster will pop out of it and force you back into the side-scrolling segment, and it'll knock you out of the door of wherever you just were.
Yeah.
And then the monster appears on top of you, knocking you back and taking damage.
Wait a minute. Wasn't that the name of Butters' alter ego from South Park?
That was Professor Chaos.
Son of a bitch. I thought we had something there.
Nope.
Damn it.
I thought about that before, because I remember one of the first times I saw that episode of South Park, I was like, Dr. Chaos.
Anyway, we will be back next week. I believe the plan is to do Super Bomberman R next week, unless it turns out to be hot garbage.
Don't even joke about that.
It could have happened. It could happen. I don't know.
Wait, you think that Konami could put out a bad game in 2017?
I'm very excited for the 33rd anniversary of Bomberman. I'm very excited.
That was last year.
I'm very excited for the 34th anniversary of Bomberman. I'm very excited for Super Bomberman R. That's our plan for next week.
I really want the co-op mode to be good.
Because Switch is not retro enough, and Zelda is not retro enough, but Super Bomberman R is. I firmly believe that it is. It is right there where it needs to be for us to cover it. So that's the plan for next week. If it comes out and the reviews are like a 2 on Metacritic, then we'll announce something else.
Or maybe we'll just have a hot garbage show.
That'd be fun. We'll just episode 86, hot garbage. Anyway, as always, thank you for listening. You can find us and support us on Patreon at patreon.com/Retro Warriors, where we are already 1/3 to our next goal.
It's ridiculous how fast this is going.
Which is to resurrect Retro Warriors magazine. I already have tons and tons of really awesome ideas for that, and I'm really excited about it, but we are still a little ways away.
And our next goal after that is to resurrect Satoru Iwata.
Yes, that's the plan. That's too soon. It's still too soon. I'm sorry. I can't even get into the joke with it. I posted that in our Nintendo Switch hype train group chat. I posted that picture of a Reggie hype train, and in the background on the clouds is Iwata.
Yeah. I had made that picture our group chat picture.
Yeah. I didn't realize.
Yeah. That exact same picture too. And it has him there just looking down upon the hype train.
Anyway, we would absolutely love for you to support us and help us get closer to our goal of bringing back the magazine, which you can also go find on our Patreon, the first 2 issues for free, if you want to go download those in PDF form. You can also find us on our website, retrowarriors.net, which is where we're going to be posting written content starting very, very soon. And on Facebook at facebook.com/Retro Warriors, which is probably the best way to get in touch with us if you want to send us a message. Yeah. And that's it. We'll be back next week. After it will be post-Switch. We're going to be worn out. We're going to be Zelda'd out and Bomberman'd out. Or not. Yeah. If we don't get them. It could happen.
Don't say that.
Don't put it into the universe. Anyway, thank you for listening. And as always, let us cling together.
Let us cling together.